everybody, 8-Bit Josh here. Welcome to another episode of Life After People. This time we're in San Francisco underneath a crumbling tower of the Golden Gate Bridge, which I'm really excited about this episode. If you like this episode, consider hitting that like button, and if you want to see more of these, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you get notified whenever I upload a new episode. New episodes of the series go up every Monday. But before we get into the rest of the episode, let's get a quick word from today's sponsor, which is me, or more specifically, my Ko-fi page. Since I create content on multiple platforms, I wanted one singular place where folks can support me monetarily should they choose to, and for that I have chosen Ko-fi. You can make one-time donations, which 100% of your money goes to me, or you could choose a monthly membership, which 95% of your support goes to me. If you choose a monthly membership, depending on the tier you choose, there are different benefits you'll receive, such as behind the scenes content, shout out for new members, and your name displayed at the end of videos and live streams, as well as a special Discord role in our Discord server. So if you enjoy my videos or my live streams and are interested in supporting me, please consider using Ko-fi. You can find my page at kofi.com/8bitjosh. The link to that is always in the description below. So I've said in previous episodes that this series is sort of an offshoot of my Horizon Zero Dawn zoo that I made. And while the series is not specifically meant to be in the Horizon Zero Dawn world, this scene was taken directly from the sequel game, Horizon Forbidden West. Just thought it would be really fun and not only challenging to actually build one of the towers of the Golden Gate Bridge, but to make it look like it's crumbling and falling apart. And I think I did a pretty darn good job, if I say so myself. I honestly think this is the best thing I've ever created in playing a zoo. You know, I looked at a lot of pictures of not only the Golden Gate Bridge and the towers, but also I was looking up pictures of the bridge while it was under construction, which there's not a lot of those, but there are some out there. And it was really because I wanted to make sure I got all the the details right and the general shape. You know, this part here, which is sort of the base of the tower, it was kind of, at first I wasn't sure which materials I was going to use, and I ended up just using mostly the stone pieces from I believe actually the South America DLC, but it had this this weird shape, almost looks like a boat in my opinion. So I had to build that whole thing by hand. None of that is on the grid, so getting that shape just right and making sure each sides are all the sides are equally apart from each other was a bit of a challenge. The other challenge which you can see me trying here is I wasn't sure what pieces to use to make for the actual tower. Believe it or not, coming up with the color was actually not that difficult. You know, the Golden Gate Bridge is sort of it's not really red, it's not really orange, it's sort of like a color in between. And I think Playing a Zoo actually does a pretty good job of representing that color of the Golden Gate Bridge. So here I was using these pieces here, they're the metal pieces, which I believe were from the Australia pack DLC, which I thought I had found the pieces. I thought that they were working out pretty well, and I actually built up the tower a decent amount using these pieces. And then after a while I was like, you know what, I actually don't like the pieces that I used for the tower. You can see I'm just spending a lot of time there figuring out the each side and getting the height right. This isn't exactly perfect to scale, but it's still a very large build. It's pretty big. If you've played use the diorama mode. I didn't change the shape or the size of the default diorama terrain, so you can look at that and you can see that it's already pretty big. The entire base of the tower takes up almost the entire length of the terrain there. So I switched pieces and actually, believe it or not, used a planter. There's a planter piece the default color is black, and thankfully it's flexi color. So I think that worked way better because it's the planter is metal. So obviously that's perfect for making a big giant metal bridge, and the color also still worked really well. Because sometimes if you use the same color on different pieces that are different textures or whatever, the color isn't always exactly the same. But thankfully that planter piece worked out pretty well here. So this is me actually building the actual road part of the bridge. Again, I was looking at pictures to make sure I got the framing right, get the barrier there correct. I will say I didn't make like the Golden Gate Bridge actually has a walkway on either side of the road. I didn't make that just because I didn't really think it was all necessary to have all of that, but I wanted to make sure I at least got the road area mostly looking like the real bridge. There were some points building this where I was like, man, I should have left certain pieces like in their own groups, because I ended up kind of having to like disassemble this whole section and make certain parts like the railings on each side. I had to make each like section like its own group so that I could manipulate it and move it around when I was as I start making it look like it's more crumbled and ruined. So that was one tedious part that was just my own mistake. So here I was adding like the lines and everything, and I think it did pretty good with the road there. You can see already it's getting really big. It's already really tall. Yeah, this was a pretty challenging build for me, and I'm honestly proud of myself for not giving up, because honestly, as I started building, I was like, man, I don't know that I have the patience to build this whole thing. But you know what? I actually ended up doing it. Oh, so here, I actually had to save the bridge as a blueprint, and I built it the rest of the way in a regular map because the diorama mode, for whatever reason, has a difficult time when you start getting like really tall. Like the camera like wouldn't move up high enough in the diorama mode for me to get to the top of the towers. So I actually had to move it into like a regular size map. But yeah, I think this should just about do it for the time lapse. So let's move into the finished diorama and take a look at it. All right, and here's the finished tower of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I love this view. I don't know, it's something about the sort of overcast skies with the sun just kind of barely shining through onto the bridge. I just think looks really cool. Also because it's really tall, so you just get that sense of like, yeah, this is a really big structure. But yeah, we can take a look at the whole thing. So you can see here's the what I was talking about, like the road was just like really like took a lot of work to make, like, because like I said, I had to like go through and separate all of these pieces like for the railings to make it its own group so that I could make them look like they're kind of bent and kind of going around their own different direction. Of course, we've got the we got the Jeep there that's falling through. We've got the plants growing up around it. I like this side actually too, because like this part of the road had actually fallen off. Here, let's as cool as the overcast skies are, let's make it a little bit brighter here so we can see everything. But yeah, I like that this part of the road had actually fallen off and is in the water. The other thing I wanted to do when I sort of conceptualized this series is I wanted to do one diorama that was mostly water. Unfortunately, game limitations don't allow you to just put water without a barrier like this. It would have been awesome if you could use like a null barrier and just have like the water, just like a big block of water there, as unrealistic as that might look. But, it doesn't need to be realistic because this is just a diorama. I even tried, if there's like a hack where you can use the path tool to sort of dig out the terrain around water, so all you're left with is the water. But Planet Zoo doesn't render underneath the water. Even if you do that with the path tool, you just get this like little sliver here of water. So even that trick alone didn't really work. But I still think it looks really cool, even though we've got the barrier there. And of course, because this is the Golden Gate Bridge, which is in San Francisco, which they are also known for the seals that like to hang out in, I think it's, if I remember, it's Pier 39 in San Francisco. So of course I had to add the seals. I also gave them this nice little tunnel that actually goes under the bridge, which they can and do swim through. So that way they have plenty of places to swim. There we go. And of course also adding like debris and stuff under the water here, as like stuff is kind of falling off the bridge. Another fun challenge was actually making the cables of the Golden Gate Bridge. We go all the way to the top here. So I used the simple like kind of art shapes to make the cables here, but I added some extra details just to make them look a little bit better than just the straight heart-shaped pieces. I want to say this metal ring is actually a light. It's from the aquatic pack. It's that round light, if you know what I'm talking about. And then the other thing I did is I added these like rusted metal pieces to sort of simulate the because if you don't know, like suspension bridges, when they have the actual cables that go across, they're actually bunches of smaller metal cables sort of wrapped up in this is sort of like the casing. So I tried to simulate that as well, so it kind of gave the look of, yeah, those are the actual suspension cables used for the bridge. And then I tried to make, some of them, there's 4 of them, so I wanted to make a couple different lengths. This one I wanted to like have it actually go all the way down, and then you can see it actually kind of goes through a little bit of through this hole in the road. So getting it to look like it's sort of falling naturally and kind of bent and curved was a little bit of a challenge, but I think it worked out pretty well. I think it looks like it's actually, like if it were to be cut and it just naturally fell, I think that kind of looks pretty good. Looks like it would do that. And again, we have like all the plants and stuff kind of growing up around it. I very much specifically took this from an actual like screen from the actual Golden Gate Bridge in Horizon Forbidden West. This is obviously not exactly how it looks, but I think it's pretty close. I love like also like just the random like the girder pieces that are kind of falling there. I think that helps with the look as well. And then of course also all of the decal pieces that I added around makes it look like it's in disrepair and crumbling and falling apart and all that good stuff. Yeah, like I said, this is I think my favorite Planet Zoo build I've ever made, and I think it just turned out super well. I'm really happy with it. Oh yeah, that's the actual gate there, so that this would be a valid a valid habitat. You can't add the animals in otherwise. But yeah, so there we go. There's the Golden Gate Bridge tower. It's crumbling. It's in disrepair. Like I said, I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you like it, make sure to let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to examine and check this out yourself, every habitat that I build for this series is going up on my Steam Workshop. So if you want to download it and check it out for yourself in game, the link to my Steam Workshop is always in the description below. Also, if you have any ideas for future episodes, you know, if you have a sort of post-apocalyptic scene in mind or an animal to go with it, do let me know. On the light there, so it's a little bit brighter. They like swim through the tunnel. I think pretty much all they do is swim. They rarely ever go up on land. Oh yeah, I also added the this boat here. It's a little sunken boat. I forgot that that was added into the game, so it's kind of going, sticking out a little bit. I like when doing this series, I kind of like making, you know, the scenery and stuff kind of overflowing or falling off of the diorama a little bit. But like I said, make sure to leave a comment down below if you like this, or just let me know what you think of it in general, or if you have any ideas for sort of post-apocalyptic scenes that I could do with the diorama. And yeah, that should be it. I will see you all on the next episode.